Well, anyway, I want to try to get everybody's attention for a minute. Okay, now, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, we can get everybody's attention for just a minute. I'm Terry Menzel, Richard's father, and this is Jack, Mary's father. And on behalf of both of us, we want to welcome everybody to the reception tonight and to the beginning of a lot of fun with Mary and Richard over the next couple of days. So first we want to thank everybody for coming. And then Jack and I wanted, I don't have a glass. That's all right. Anyway, that's all right. We want to be the first to offer a toast to Richard. You get Mary, stand up.
I think it's just me.
Get used to it.
Toast to me. That's all right, though.
Canadian border. This is feeling somewhat familiar.
Somebody's going. You know where he is? He's coming. Oh, okay.
He's coming.
Okay, we don't need him.
Come on, Richard. Here, Reed will do it for you, Mary. Is that okay?
Yes,
Good
that's
substitute.
Very
Okay, anyway, on behalf of Jack and I, we want to be the first to offer a toast. Stand up.
Okay, sorry.
Stand up to Richard and Mary. May you have a long, happy, healthy life together. To Richard and Mary. What? Okay, and now I think we have at least one and maybe other toasts to be offered before we get rained out. So I think Richard's sister Andrea has something to something to offer. And then we also have a presentation by Rob, the best man, to share with all of you. So Andrea, are you ready?
I am ready.
Gary, that looks like a legal document.
She's going to have a background. Everything else.
I think we should introduce your brother.
What is this? From your sister. Always by your side. To your union. And the tears that die. May you always be satisfied. Okay. Now I promise that was a very relevant part of this toast. I promise that was not just me being self-indulgent, singing show tunes, which I love. We'll come back to its relevance. Before we get to Richard and Mary, I just want to thank my parents for this lovely evening tonight. I want to thank them for being... I want to thank them for being great parents. But I also want to recognize that, of course, even great parents make mistakes. And they had 4 children to raise, and we're all very far apart in age, 5 years between each of us, with the first being born in '69. Let's face it, by about '96, they were really done with this. They ceded a lot of that parenting responsibility to a young Richard, who was only about 10, to me at that point. And if you've ever wondered, what is wrong with Richard? Well, you're looking at it. Andrea at 35 is a questionable parent, but Andrea at 16 was unequivocally the worst. There were good times. Certainly we read summer reading together. I still remember All Quiet on the Western Front and trying to get Richard to think of it critically. There were some questionable times when I took him to parties that, quite frankly, I probably shouldn't have even been at. And then there were some downright scary times. One time I actually left him on the side of the road. He was only 11. We had gotten in a fight. We were several towns away from our town. And I'm not sure why nobody called the police on us or why he was allowed to wander around for 20 minutes. But he survived. And in fact, he thrived. I'd like to think that he is who he is today because he's had to deal with me his entire life.
Survivor.
Yes, he is. Richard is truly a wonderful, wonderful man. He is loving. He is sensitive. He is funny. He is understanding. He is passionate to the point of sometimes being intense, to put it delicately. And I am very happy to be here celebrating his marriage to Mary this weekend. Very shortly after Richard began bringing Mary around, I learned that Mary also loves to sing and loves show tunes. At that point, I knew she was a keeper. Now, you may think it's only me who loves show tunes. You may think that when you look at Richard, he's just an athlete. And quite frankly, he was better at baseball when he was 6 than I was at 16. And he was great at hockey and he was great at lacrosse. But you may not know that Richard was also a fantastic performer. And when I was in middle school and in high school and I was doing theater, Richard was being dragged into those plays as well. And Richard was performing in Fiddler on the Roof. And Richard certainly still knows every word to The King and I, Les Mis, Miss Saigon, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, just to name a few. One of my favorite memories of Richard is of sitting on a chairlift with him at Jiminy Peak, singing 10 minutes ago from Cinderella at the top of our lungs. Because once he was about 11, he could sing the boy parts and I could sing the girl parts and all of the duets, and it was fantastic. In fact, the first argument that Mary and I ever got into was about Richard's singing voice. She told me that she did not think Richard had very good range. And I got very upset remembering especially a duet from from Miss Saigon's Last Night of the World. And I know that Richard has a fantastic range, Mary Lou. I still think he doesn't. So that is why I began this toast with the show tune, because Richard and Mary secretly both love him. Back to Richard and Mary Elizabeth. They feel like they have some deep connection because they both have old-fashioned sounding names. Richard, there aren't many 30-year-old men named Richard. I think that's because most parents are afraid of that nickname, Dick. I would personally like to thank my parents for ignoring that and providing me with 30 years of Dickie jokes. It has been fantastic. As many of you know, Richard and I had a grandmother named Mary who passed away a few years before Mary Elizabeth came into our life. And I think that Richard felt an immediate connection to this strong-willed, dark-haired, beautiful, fair-skinned Irish woman named Mary. And I'll tell you, my mother is not a very loving, sensitive, open-hearted kind of person. In fact, you can ask my husband, who has never gotten a hug from her. That's just not who she is. But right after Richard and Mary started dating, she literally called me to tell me that she believed that our Mary, or my grandmother, had sent Mary Elizabeth to us somehow from heaven. And so, Richard, I will tell you, both of you, that Mary, as soon as you came into our lives, certainly Richard knew it, but really the whole family knew that you were here to stay. Mary is the youngest in her family, as Richard is. And I think it's a little different to be the youngest in Mary's family. I think that when you're the youngest in Mary's family, you are treated somewhat as a princess. I think you are called the queen bee. I think that all of your wishes are fulfilled. I think that whatever you want goes in the household, in the family. But it's a little different in our house and in our family, as you know by now. It's a little bit more like pledging a fraternity. We make you stay up too late. We make you drink too much. And then we tease you mercilessly. You have endured that over the last several years. I like to think that your initiation, you've been strong. You've stuck with us through it, and hopefully this is good. You're here to stay. You made it through. You made it through. You're being inducted tomorrow. Mary and Richard are both incredibly loving, loyal, and family-oriented people. They have incredible passion for each other, for life, and for their families. And I think that they are going to bring that into the family that they create beginning tomorrow. And rather than wishing you a lifetime of happiness, I'm going to wish you a lifetime of contentment, a lifetime of fulfillment, and in the words of Angelica Schuyler Church, may you always be satisfied. Cheers.